Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Drunk Poets See Zoom. We have our next batch of poets ready to go for you. As you can hear, there's some music coming from Taylor Mignon's corner. Hey, Mignon, are you ready to take it away for us here on Drunk Poets See Zoom?
I am, and I'm with my neighbor friend Adam Janesh, aka the New Normal. And I'd like to start off. I'm going to read probably two things. The first one is called, I retitled it, it's called the Discombobulator. And this is a poem written in the spirit of Bogan poetry, which is the third worst poetry in the universe. And this was introduced by Douglas Adams in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I heard one of our hosts had a birthday this month, and there was a significant number related to this novel. Anyway, I dedicate this to Sorcha. The Discombobulator, written in the vein of Bogan poetry. Oh, bots forlornian in Bickle Bower Boo Boo, thou'st merdrifications a la moi, are spy me pigsty dextritus. On a furrigate anteater, that hearth punkily flared out its unaudible mum-bumble susurrets into diuretic, diarrheal foodoo snitch brew. Now the skittle bopping flesh shift omniblurts are galloping maggedly upon the toxic gutter minions, and existing bomble swamps confart and demolarcate like eyebrow blurting protein ejaculate. Genuflux, I beseech thou'st my hurdle gerbil gray fennel mannequin with beshadowed thin clowns of bygonescience, or else upon thy wortly gnarlish nanunads I shall inflict with my discombobulator. I dost, doeth, declareth. And for the second and last piece, a short poem. Actually, this is written by my brother, Paul Mignon. I have his permission. I think I do have his permission to read this about another tragedy. It's called Ahmad. There's not another Ahmed Rashad. There's not another Ahmed Ali Lewis. There's not another Ahmad Jamal. or another Munir Ahmad at Yale, or another Nihal Ahmad at Wisconsin. There's the one and only Ahmaud Arbery, shot in the back by two crooks.
Thank you, Taylor.
Wow. All right. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, our next poet. Comes all the way from San Francisco and he's in Tokyo right now. Please welcome Arniel Brown.
Hey. So this is called Living in a State of COVID Contradiction. Here we go. We're living in a state of COVID contradiction. The state of emergency got me thinking. I couldn't have gotten better results, unlike I was fishing. Not wishing harm upon myself. Check this and listen. Go to work, but stay social distant. Infections are low. We get real close on trains. Stay far on planes. Please refrain from going out. Only on weekends and nights. 'Cause COVID is a day person. He's a dutiful citizen. He be listening to Koike and Abe, too. He sure fooled you. He's washing his hands. That bumblecot stay dead. And that's why the virus didn't really spread. Or didn't it? Ever since the state of emergency was lifted, it's a gift to us. Go and work. Is it worth the risk? Don't tisk, tisk, tisk. You asked for this. Sheet over your eyes. Isn't life bliss? Next one is a favorite of a coworker of mine. It's called Momotaro. Momotaro. Reach the beach and I eat a peach 'cause I seek the sweet plateaus of life. I'm laid back as in sunbathing, catching the rays with sunglasses, smile on my face and a fringe haircut. I envision myself youthful, fruitful, and as a boy in a picture book and stamp icon. 'Cause I can. It's innocent and sweet, march to a different beat. Okay, this one's called Shattered Plastic Bottle Cap. A dumb fuck said, more money, more problems. Well, I absolved them. Go solve then. Fingers, I got 10. Balled up in the sky is revolution. White palms in the air, that's the solution. I abstain. Again in the refrain. I sustain flows, though I'm delirious Eddie Murphy state of mind. While I got mine, neighbor said, if not mistaken. Throwback lyrics, I'm the oil to the bacon, and that's hot. Miles not straight. It's crooked like streets of San Francisco. It's not a copper drama. Nah, for confirmation. Let me tell you my situation. I'm stating endless rhymes till the end of the page. I'm not a sage, got lyrics for days, through in a daze. Visions is clouded, I'm about it, or rather done. A shattered bottle cap, proof, shown. I'm number one. And that's it, I'm done.
All right. Arniel, thank you. Up next, all the way from Melbourne town, we have a very talented singer, songwriter, poet who's joining us for the first time. And is a very dear friend of mine. I'd like to introduce Miss Hilda Green.
My name is Morticia Black. Some say I'm a witch. I'm really just weird. They think that I'm crazy. Others call me a bitch, someone to fear. Well, I might be some of that, and sometimes a little bit more. But when the night is black and the bats are back, I'm almost happy. No stranger to loneliness or biding my time. I'm that way inclined, and towards melancholy, I'll admit to that crime, and I'm doing my time. In danger of convalescing in my room, medicating with wine. When the night is black and the bats are back, hear me baying at the moon. They call me Morticia Black. Anatomically, I'm a woman running for diplomat, queen of obscure, champion of the underdogs and the demure. Self-isolation, lifestyle for one. As far as sentient beings, I'm as strange as they seem, and the reason being, I'm friends with black cats, impartial to reminisce on incidents as strange as they seem. I recommend you to investigate your own family tree, be it relics, rumors, or rituals, remnants. Check on down the track for Amaris or a Morticia Black. Morticia, a Morticia Black. Fading out, fading out, fading out. If I could fade out, I would say that. I couldn't clap it. I had my plans. I waited for more. Time gave me a ticket. She said, stand by that door. It's been 24 hours. I still haven't arrived. My eyes are on fire. And now who's even trying? Grow, or does your garden grow, old friend? You reap what you sow. Tend to you, you attend to me. And we'll watch our gardens grow, old friend. I took my chances. with ruby red hair. I put on the show. She's acting real crazy since she rose from the dead. With weird voodoo sculptures lying next to the bed. Grow, how does your garden grow, old friend? You reap what you sow. I tend to you, you tend to mine. And we'll watch our gardens grow, old friend. I swear you ain't broken. I think you're just bent. You say you need healing. Well, I think you just need a friend. And I'll be one of those.
Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Hilda. Yeah, so next up, we're going to listen to Micah Tasaka, all the way in Fukui Prefecture. How's it going down there in Fukui, Micah?
Very calm. I think we didn't get hit as hard as a lot of other places in Japan, so yeah, things are very calm out here. Yeah, so I'm also half Japanese, and one of my reasons in coming out to this country was to research my family tree. And so this first poem is called Tree, and it's kind of like in response to a question I got asked over and over and over again when I came out to Japan, which is like, why didn't your father teach you Japanese? So it's called Tree, Why My Father Didn't Teach Me Japanese, a story. The bomb fell in Hiroshima, but ricocheted across the Pacific. In Poston, Arizona, it split a nerve down the center of a tree, severing root from leaves. Leaves deny their root. Trees provide no shade across a battlefield. War displaced a torn limb, still spewing blood. Blood sick with amnesia, across generations lost. My family roamed deserts, forgot the language to tell, would rather not speak. Speak about it no more, while in Nippon it rains. Heavy heart from ceiling drips, dissolving to Tommy straws, falls through the floor. The floor cannot hold us up, we seep right through. In basement puddles, attempted rebuilding, a water forgotten molds 1,000 stories. Unaware of ancestral tongues, still stinking of the dew that forms on lips unused, performing a surgery. Surgery and art crafted from these years of wondering why we wandered so far, might reconnect the veins, retrace the outline of a tree. A tree drawn on rice paper, cannot hold up to moisture, translucent to light, a fixture, pieced together each leaf remembers the feeling of branches. Branches a sound structure. We can only hope to reassemble what was never licked by tongues that awkward form the shape of a word that shapes a feeling, burning inside of guts, when looking across a field of trees still smoldering, questioning why the match was ever dropped. This is called A Lost Thing. When I finally landed on this shore, a belly full of hope and promise, I found instead that half my body dropped a bomb on the other half my body, and parts of me are still dying in the aftermath. 3 generations later, my skin peels off, then regrows every night. I cover my bed in roses for every dying cell, asking this land to nourish me, but I set fire to my hometown to stand against a red sun that forgets me. Me, a lost thing, still cleaning up the mess left from a diaspora I didn't ask for, but one that granted me an existence that feels as if it's expiring every day, that I stay so locked on an island, floating on an ocean, 5,000 miles away from. But what is home when I am rain, tossed by wind, showered on some dry patch of dirt that will never bear any memory? My grandpa finally told stories of the farm on his deathbed, when the harvest was good, the air full of orange blossoms and cicada screech, and he ate mochi with his fingers and never spoke of an ocean that swallowed the way back, while I'm caught in a knowing that my country dropped a bomb on the other half of my country, and I'm standing on an ocean trying to remember the sounds of my own name. I wait to drown. This is called On Learning an Ancestral Language for the First Time, and about coming here and learning Japanese for the first time. On tongue tips, a sloshing of liquid, not quite yet water drips, a languid body still hoping to form each sound of a river, as clearly as if it always knew, the language buried with old bones that never told a story while living. The living retrace their steps, lick up an entire ocean, fill their bodies with salt and sand and fish, and still anger at the ache of hunger. So when the rain comes, let the flood bear a resemblance to the homeland that runs its fingers through my hair each night as I sleep, until such skull-capped field is weeded into garden, so rich in blossoms and full of useful roots. I might remember a word or two with this slimy tongue that slithers easily into sentence as if it always knew where it came from. And this is my last one. This is like, it's called When Eating Natto. When Eating Natto, Homogeneity and the American Hamburger. It is clear I'm not of you. I am the decaying bone attached to the stem that forgot what a root felt like. And is it assimilation or de-assimilation, the way I learned one of my grandma's languages for the purpose of easy grocery shopping? Or is it similar to how Priyanka Yoshikawa said, after being crowned Miss World Japan 2016, I am proud that I have Indian in me, but that does not mean I am not Japanese. And what claim do I have to a home when that home doesn't even claim half of me? And it is clear I am not of you, but when eating natto, I still spiral my chopsticks to catch the drifting webs that linger at my lips, that fumble to make clear sentences in your language, but you still catch my drift. And when I ask 4 students, what foreign country do you want to go? Every answer is the same. I want to go to America. Why? Because I want to eat American hamburger. And when I say my favorite American food is pizza, they say no, pizza is Italian food, not American food. And I try to explain that immigrants bring their food with them and America devours and calls them its own. And in the confusion, in the blinks of their eyes, I find myself wondering what I would have been like had I been raised here, or would I even call this a poem without a patterned syllable count? Thank you.
Okay, wow, thank you. Thank you.
I'm
Mike.
here.
Hello, John.
Hello.
It is your turn in the
Okay.
spotlight. So take it away. Give us your magic.
Okay, just let me do a couple of things. Ready, go.
You think I spend all my time lying down, listening to Orange Requiem? No! I'm dancing! I am a poem. Are you a poem? I heard you had my eggs for breakfast. If there are fish, just see them. If there are eggs, just leave them. There are lovers to break. Jokes, just wake them. Whatever that means. Seas part, winds fart, goat stroke, wear a cloak. If there are 88 meanings, I think you will see them. You're so clever and smart, it breaks my heart. I've read so much. But I've never been anyone else. I was born this way. And I know I'll always stay and be 100% me.
Kid on CCTV cameras do not exist.
Our innate capacity for forming maps is being eroded at the neurological level by GPS technology. So where are we? In a deep and magnifying silence. I have that quality where I can go missing for a while, a few days, staring at the sky, which has no limit.
I think it's time to discuss your philosophy of drug use as it relates to artistic endeavor.
Oh, how are you doing? How's your leg? Let me read from the Bible, Book of John, chapter 14, verse 6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I'm going to wear a head hat. It's a triangular item. They say you are what you eat. So, you must have eaten one of my friends. The dog that lives in your mind is thinking of going somewhere. If you have no eyes, you can still see. If you have no feet, I can walk for you. Patience is the golden road. En passe de chanson d'oiseau. Have you noticed? It's Spider Month. My hands, the lines on my hands are changing every day. They say, eat rosemary, drink cold-pressed coffee. I was happy today. I say, smile inside your mouth, smile inside your heart. Feel yourself on the earth. You're in a complex world. Bad things happen, not only in Brazil. You know about the fight or flight response, but not the third option, which is the most common. and that is to freeze. Do nothing. Gift no resistance. Tonic immobility is involuntary, reflexive, physiological. No way to override this response. And then you flatter your aggressor with appeasement behavior, evolutionary gestures, low state.
Hey Jude, hey Jude, hey Jude.
This old woman looks 31, lives in a frog-shaped house. She's sick. She says, don't tell the trees because they don't need to know, and they might tell the earth. Doctors and nurses are so lonely always, asking me to come see them. When all else has failed, pray to St. Jude. When all else has failed, pray to St. Jude. And when you see him, smile. Thank you.
All right, moving along. Next up, we have a wonderful artist, photographer, poet. Let me introduce Mr. Edward Levinson. Yay. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, coming in through loud and clear.
Okay, well, good. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. It's nice to be able to participate after, because I don't live in Tokyo, 2 hours outside in the country. It's always such a big deal to come into Drunk Poets. So here I am at Drunk Poets in the comfort of my own house, in the comfort of my own gallery, which just said has a nice echo. So, okay, anybody tired of English teaching? A little bit, yeah. People have been teaching all. Sure, you're a little bit tired of that. So this first poem is called "The Enlightened Alphabet." That's a new one. Just one. Okay, are you ready? A is for anata, you in Japanese. B for boy, the times are changing. C is for cat, get on the peace train. D for drunk poets, seeing God. E is for everyone has it in them. F for fun in the sun. G is for going, gone beyond. H is for heartaches and harvest. I is for invisible when you need to be. J for jamboree, more celebrations. K is for keeping on doing it. L for love is one answer. M is for merry mind. N for new, not the negative, do. O is for open one. P for passion play. Q is for questing questions. R for roaming romantics. S is for sitting in sounds of silence. U for universal, unusual, us. V is for vivacious victory. We, for we are the world. X is for multiply, be fruitful. Y for smiley face. Y, yellow, a smiley face. And last but not least, Z is for Zatoichi, the blind swordsman, fighting for the good. Okay. So now the Corona theme poem, I guess you could say. The coronavirus has caused some serious backlog for all of us in our lives, private lives, business lives, love lives, inner life, etc. So this poem is called The Backlog. It was early morning thoughts. Just upon awakening, I wrote it sitting on the edge of the bed. The backlog. Backlog of poems that won't write themselves. Backlog of thoughts that won't back down. Backlog of muscles that need new movement. Backlog of projects that boil in a pot. Backlog of books that think they know me. Backlog of friends that I do not see. Backlog of memories that want eternity. Backlog of dreams I can't remember. Backlog of visions that constantly remind me. Okay, another one. People who have heard me read at the Drunk Poets See God live performances, I make it in once or twice a year. They probably heard some of my poems where I say, oh, this was inspired under the cherry tree in my garden. Well, here's another one, inspired under the cherry tree in my garden after the morning meditation. The title is Murmurings, and I will say it's for Sofia Segovia, who is a Mexican novelist who wrote a novel which I'm reading right now called Murmur of the Bees. Murmurings. Murmur of the bees, filling up the trees, doing good deeds. Create background, meditative drone for chorus of birds on sunlit stage. Oblivious to the age where many are not sage, but battle on with rage. A pheasant cries in the distance, seeking for its mate. A small deer, cautiously looking for food it maybe dislikes, but does not hate, if it wants to live. They don't know I'm here, or are they playing for me to hear? Okay, I'm not sure what the time is, but we'll do at least one more. In this poem, bear with me, just a little bit of Old English, and it's sort of a rhyming challenge poem for me. I think the title is Poets of the Street. Poets of the street, moments doth thy meet, pounding pavement to drumbeat, looking for a cosmic seat, viewing all the social heat, loving always life is neat. Feeling, tasting mighty sweet, thinking simply this is neat, an open heart so doth eat. Connections are an added treat, continue on until complete, canceling out all previous defeat. Walking, standing on 2 feet, sitting, waiting, no need to cheat. Special moments doth thy meet. Visions appear on a simple sheet. Oh Lord, do not delete those poets of the street.
Yeah.
Okay, is that enough?
That's beautiful. Okay, and now we're moving along to Mr. Andy Boerger. Andy, what you got for us today?
Oh, I've got something, and I'm going to go ahead and share this. The garden. The soil was as soil should be. Black, moist, oozing, decayed, ancient, carrying corpses. I began gardening without knowing I was beginning to garden. I felt as if I was merely wallowing in the black ooze, dancing with the corpses, emptying my tears into it, perhaps softening my own grave. I was black as tar. Somehow, oddly, in a way I could hardly have foreseen, much less planned, all my churning magically evolved a purpose. The purpose moved in my head from vagueness to certainty. I was preparing a garden. From this muck I found myself in, things of beauty would grow. And that is when I met the gardener. He seemed both young and old, strong and sturdy, such that there was no need to proudly display either strength or sturdiness. He was simply who he was. He was both man and tree. I would quickly grow to love this gardener, this tree man. First, because I recognized great wisdom in him. Foremost, because he had the rare talent of getting me to laugh at myself when I most needed a laugh. Lovingly, never derisively, the gardener saw me as I was, flaws and all, and took it all in stride, not judging, never doubting that together we could cultivate a garden that would bloom and blossom with beauty to spare. The first tree was song. You need a voice, the gardener told me. You need to learn to say your own name without it sounding like an apology. And so we planted a song tree, the gardener and I, and from deep beneath the soil of the garden, my voice began to rise. It was the voice that I had released only rarely, spontaneously and unrehearsed, when standing before waterfalls. It was that voice that had surprised me, the voice of a tribal elder, standing before a waterfall and thanking Mother Earth through song for constructing such beauty and awesomeness from the barest and most basic of materials, water, sound, rock, gravity, but so much more than these. When that voice arose spontaneously from me, it sang a song from a different time, perhaps a former life. It was not the voice I used in my everyday world, where I said my name as if inviting the listener to forget it immediately, to forget me immediately. It was that voice, that rarer voice, mellifluous and mighty, that grew inside the tree that was planted by the gardener in me. As the song tree began to bear fruit, it was a magnificent thing to see. Some songs caught the sun and shone more brightly. Some dropped early and splashed the ground with gorgeousness, nourishing the soil. All perfumed the garden with the aroma of truth and sincerity, and that brought the birds. They came, they sang, they feasted, and they emptied themselves. And though this was not pretty, it was life, and life has purpose. Thus, just as the gardener knew it would, the song tree began a cycle of life in the garden and made it possible for many plants to flourish and many birds to gather. The garden grew more beautiful day by day. And then one day, a lover came to visit. Many of the songs of the song tree had been songs of longing. Had she heard them from a distant place? Some of them were memories of a love out of time, a long-lost lover with whom I had once walked the earth, a different me, perhaps the shaman of the waterfall, a man who felt good and strong when saying his own name. Was it she? I think such questions are better pondered rather than answered. It may have been her, or perhaps she merely brought the flavor of one who dwelt deep in my memory. Whoever she was, she appeared, and at the right time, when I had a garden to show her. I introduced myself with the voice, the strong voice, that I had cultivated there. The voice the gardener had told me I needed, but hadn't told me why. I said my name, not apologizing for it, not hoping she would soon forget it, wanting her to remember it and know me. Naked as Adam and Eve, We chased each other around that garden, not about to be outdone by monkeys or squirrels, in playfulness and brashness. The sun golden honeyed our skin as we made love upon a carpet of moss. And when the stars came out and the fireflies circled and meandered, our bodies became canvases for punctuations of light. Our eyes flashed and took everything in. And my garden became our garden for a time. And that time passed. And when she left, it was back to the gardener and me. And he said, seasons come to love just as they come to this garden, and the garden weathers them. One should never expect that a garden will be ablaze with glory, with color and in all its glory at all times. What has lived and thrived in this garden has given it beauty, and for that we can be grateful. And what has died here has given it food, and for that we can be grateful as well. And that was all the gardener said. So I walked to the song tree and sat down with it bracing my back and fed it with my tears. Winter brought sleep to the garden. The gardener placed his hand, a last glow of warmth before the cold was all upon my shoulder, and mused, do you suppose this garden will dream during its long sleep? And if it does, what visions of itself will it behold? The garden, I thought, can dream from the depths to the heights. Its roots delve deep into the darkness where bones and claws scratch it, while its upper branches gently touch the moon and the sun and trace clouds that move like ships. When I dreamed of her, and I dreamed of the garden, and in my dreams, the garden was still ours. The gardener knows that I don't like to pull weeds from the soil. They are life too. They have a right to be here. I fear that I become heartless and tyrannical during weeding and worry that life disapproves and that perhaps karma awaits, who might one day consider me a weed, pull me out by my roots so one better and more beautiful than I can have room to thrive. The gardener assures me I am overthinking. You are looking after a garden, he says, and a gardener who is reluctant to weed is no gardener at all. You may argue that the weeds have a right to life, but then don't be surprised when they have taken over, and you've no garden worth showing, merely a tangle of weeds. Living things do have rights, but you as surely have the right to sculpt your vision of what the garden should be, using life and its offerings as your raw materials. There is a responsibility to choose wisely when pruning, when weeding, when selecting what stays and what goes. But a gardener embraces rather than shirks this responsibility. It is better to live with one's choices than to live without choosing. This garden never ceases to surprise me. It can look as it always does, and yet still I find something there I hadn't noticed before. It can be the light adding color or the wind adding dance, but something reveals a charm and a depth that I hadn't previously noticed. Or it can look new all of a sudden. A plant can seem to appear in a single day, unplanned, seeds carried by wind, but making itself at home, while making its new home more completely itself. A sapling can grow twice as tall, and a young bird family can come to nest there, adding new voices to the choir before I, supposedly in control, even had time to memorize the score. So I weed and I prune, but I also leave room for surprise and discovery. And as the garden shifts, deepens, intensifies, explores, and expands, its continuing story of possibility leaves me spellbound. And now I am old, younger by far than the gardener, who seems never to age, but older by a stretch than I pictured myself ever becoming when I first blackened myself with the soil that has exploded into this lush garden. And I will die here someday, and perhaps this garden will wither, and the song tree will no longer bear fruit, and the birds will leave, and nothing will remain but the soil and the gardener, the tree man. until a youngster comes along to bring it back to life. And perhaps that young one will be me, my soul returned. And perhaps then the lover will return as well, pulled by the memory of my name at the appropriate time to share my garden with me once again.
Okay, so we have another, I think, a newcomer, I believe, Francis Rebollido. Hello, Francis.
Hi.
But Francis comes to us all the way from the Philippines tonight.
Yep.
Okay, Francis, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And first of all, it was really nice seeing everyone's expressions. It was really amazing. So this first one is called Life's Like That. My spirit swells and wanes through the turn of days. Each day unfurls its minutes relentlessly as an unreliable pot of sand. It's not even clear if it's the seconds that trickle in a dimension beyond my reach, or if it's me that does, my breath trickling through the fabric of time and cadence with all other breaths drawn in this world in my life. Hearts pump in measures independently, reliable machineries until at such point it fails and it resigns to the earth, honorable as they come. So that's the first one. And the second one, I wrote it as a prose, but I don't know what it is now. It's more of a stream of consciousness. So. Light bounces off the phosphorescent sheet, and my eyes roll off, entwined with a galloping stream of milk, coagulated on the day of purchase, reminisce how I drilled with my knees to the womb of the warm earth in the days of youth. Do you remember when you were 6, what you tried to buy when you learned to count? This is a dream sequence, and I pull my eyes back in as I watch the days of my life in 18 frames per second. The movie jumps over the minutes that I've lost forever to the failures of memory. The familiar images wake me up, and I lay in bed with the atmosphere of my 28-year-old life. The sun touches the ceiling like slices of butter. In my mind, I recall being awake as I become awake and unravel into a foreign floor, into a floor that still feels foreign. And in my mind, I unravel and find a good breath to breathe, easy and full and delicious air. With my weak knees, I drill to find the womb in the warm earth. That's it. So this third one I thought I wouldn't read, but here goes. I think I'm gonna call it The Comedy of Mania. I tried to write a poem, and then I noticed I had written the word death too many times for my taste. I scratch out 1, 2, 3 instances of the word from a 4-line stanza. Mind you, I am not in love with death, nor would I want to invite it. I don't think of death too often, I think, and I don't dress like a corpse. I do think of it sometimes, some days, right at the tail end of the cycle, when I think I've seen it all. I'm just so tired, I melt into sleep, my temporary death. And then I wake up to birdsong, and my flesh devours the sun. And once again, I'm full circle. I flew, I dove, I died, I'm done. For now, what a ride. Thanks for staying. I'll see you next time. So.
All right. Thank you, friend. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce my co-host, Sorcha Chisholm. I think you're going to grace us with a poem or a song or both.
Yes, I am. I have some songs I'm going to sing. Yeah, so I wrote this song just a few weeks ago, actually. And I think, yeah, it sort of speaks for itself. So it's called The Way It Was.
It's hard to let go of the life you knew. Days go by, I don't even have to try. Why can't it go back to normal? Why can't it go back to the way it was? Oh yeah. I'm stuck here in this room. I feel so alone. How long will this go on? Just sitting here like a stone. Why can't it go back to normal? Why can't it go back to the way it? Why can't it go back to normal? Why can't it go back to the way it was? Oh yeah. Back to the way it was. Oh yeah. Someday soon I will go outside to see you. Till that day, all I can do is pray that you'll be okay. That you'll be okay. Yeah. Oh, why can't it go back to normal? Why can't it go back to the way it? Why can't it go back to normal? Why can't it go back to the way it was?
Thank you. You know, back to normal.
Normal.
What is normal anyway?
What the hell is that?
New normal.
All right, this is my new baby. This is my new ukulele.
Nice.
This is Yuki. Say hi to Yuki.
Yuki.
Hi.
What an original name, huh? Okay, so I got another song for you. This is an oldie that I wrote years ago in my little house in Chigasaki that I had for a time. And I called this one, oh, can I remember the name of it? Let me see, I gotta remember it. It's cool. It's one of those really mysterious songs. It's just sort of, it's here and then it's gone again. Give me a minute.
I love those songs.
Right, the little ghost songs.
Yeah.
Let's let the world turn until we can see ourselves again. Let's let the world turn until we can
see ourselves again. It might be tomorrow or sometime next year, or maybe in another life. But I've got this wish nestled in my palm. I'm gonna send it up to the stars tonight. So let's let the world turn until we can see ourselves again. See ourselves again. So that's my little song.
All right. Thank you, Sorcha.
Let's let the world turn until we can see ourselves again.
There you go.
That's the song. That's the title. Or let's let the
Good
world
advice.
turn.
Good
Yeah,
advice.
indeed. All right. So I'm going to get my man, Samm, up on the video.
All right.
I'm going to spotlight my man.
Spotlight me, baby.
Hey, Mr. Samm Bennett.
Spotlight me, baby.
Oh, everybody can hear me.
Yeah.
So we've had a fantastic time. I hope you have all enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yay!
Like your skeleton. I like your skeleton behind you.
Yeah, it's an old friend of mine.
Really old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my own one.
So thank you one and all for joining us. We have been Sorcha Chisholm.
And Samm Bennett.
And Samm Bennett and Drunk Poets See Zoom. And thank you all for attending and being a part of this experience. So we wish you all much health, much happiness and safety. And we'll see you in the future.
Yay.
Thank you for organizing this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, y'all.